Betrayal boss story. Hey Reddit. Throwaway because I don't want this tied back to my main account. This is going to be long, so buckle in. Honestly, I don't even know if I'm writing this for advice, or just because I need to get it out of my head before I go crazy. Maybe both. So yeah. My girlfriend cheated on me. With my boss. And then had the audacity to tell me that I should quit my job so things don't get awkward. But let me back up. A little background first. I, 28M, have been with my girlfriend, let's call her Emily, 27F, for almost 4 years. We met in college, started dating right before graduation, and moved in together 2 years ago. She's always been this bright, bubbly, extroverted person who can talk to anyone. I'm more of the quieter type, but people usually like me once they get to know me. You know, the classic, opposites attract, kind of thing. We weren't perfect, obviously. No couple is. But I really thought we were solid. We had plans, saving for a house, talking about maybe getting a dog, even tossing around baby names once or twice in a joking but not entirely joking way. I thought she was my person. My endgame. Career-wise, I work at a mid-sized marketing firm. Been there almost 5 years now. It's not glamorous, but I'm decent at what I do, and it pays the bills. My boss, let's call him Greg, 42M, has been with the company forever. He's one of those charismatic, slightly too slick for his own good types. The kind of guy who tells a story at the office happy hour and everyone laughs, even if it's not that funny. Married, 2 kids, suburban house, you know the type. Anyway, Greg had met Emily a few times at company events. She's the kind of person who lights up a room, so of course he noticed her. I remember once at a holiday party, he said to me, half joking, "Man, you better keep an eye on her." At the time, I laughed it off. I figured he was just being his usual charming, slightly inappropriate self. I mean, this dude is old enough to be her dad. It never even crossed my mind that anything could actually happen. I wish I'd trusted my gut instead of brushing it off. Fast forward to about 3 months ago. Emily starts acting different. Subtle at first. She's always on her phone, smiling at messages but not telling me what's so funny. Working late a couple times a week, even though her job is usually 9 to 5. She starts dressing up more than usual, wearing perfume even if she's just running errands. I noticed, obviously. I'm not an idiot. I asked her about it once, kind of jokingly, like, "Hey, you seeing someone on the side?" She laughed, gave me a playful smack, and said, "Yeah, his name's Netflix." I wanted to believe her. God, I wanted to believe her. I told myself I was being paranoid, that she was just going through a phase or trying to feel good about herself. But the pit in my stomach wouldn't go away. The night everything blew up. It was a Friday. I had stayed late at the office because we were prepping for a big client presentation on Monday. Around 8:30, I finally headed home, exhausted and ready to collapse. I pulled into our driveway and noticed a car parked a few houses down that looked exactly like Greg's. Same make, same model, even the same stupid #OneDad bumper sticker I've seen in the company lot. I thought, no way. No *****ing way. But my brain wouldn't let it go. I walked up to the house and everything was dark except for a light in the bedroom. I unlocked the door as quietly as possible. My heart was pounding so hard I swear I could hear it echoing in my ears. I crept down the hall, and as I got closer, I heard it, the unmistakable sounds of people, yeah. You know. I pushed the door open, and there they were. Emily. And Greg. In my bed. I don't even remember what I said at first. Something like, "Are you *****ing kidding me?" I do remember Greg scrambling like a cartoon character caught in the act, trying to grab his pants off the floor. Emily just sat there frozen, wide-eyed, like a deer in headlights. The next few minutes were a blur. I remember yelling. A lot. I remember Greg muttering, "I'm sorry, man, I didn't mean for this to happen. Which is possibly the dumbest thing anyone could say in that moment. Emily started crying, saying it was a mistake, that it just happened, that she still loved me. I couldn't even process it. I felt like my entire body was buzzing, like electricity under my skin. Finally, I told Greg to get the hell out before I did something that would land me in jail. He grabbed his stuff and bolted, leaving me and Emily in this awful silence. I wanted to scream. I wanted to break things. But instead, I just sat on the edge of the bed, staring at the floor, while she tried to explain herself through sobs. According to Emily, it had been going on for a few weeks. She swore it wasn't serious, that it was just physical, and that she didn't want to lose me. She kept saying she didn't know why she did it, that Greg paid attention to her and made her feel exciting again. I sat there, numb, thinking about all the little signs I'd ignored, all the times I'd trusted her, all the nights I'd worked late while she was out with him. And then, this is the part that still makes my blood boil, she actually had the audacity to say, maybe it would be better if you looked for another job. I don't want things to be awkward between you and Greg. I swear to God, I thought I misheard her. I just stared at her, like, are you ***ing serious right now? You cheat on me with my boss, in my house, in my bed, and your concern is that things might be awkward at the office? I didn't even respond. I just grabbed my keys, walked out, and drove. I ended up sleeping in my car at a Walmart parking lot that night because I couldn't face going back. Since then, it's been hell. Greg has been acting weird at work, avoiding eye contact, being overly polite. Emily has been blowing up my phone with apologies, begging me to come home, saying she'll do anything to fix this. I've been crashing at a friend's place, trying to figure out my next move. I don't even know if I can keep working at this company now. But quitting feels like letting them both win, you know? My head is a mess. I can't eat. I can't sleep. Every time I close my eyes, I see them together. And I keep replaying that moment in my mind, her asking me to quit my job like it was the logical solution here. So yeah. That's where I'm at. Girlfriend of 4 years cheated on me with my boss, then told me to quit my job so things wouldn't be awkward. I feel like my entire life just imploded in the span of one night. I don't even know what I want from this post. Advice? Validation? Just someone to tell me I'm not insane for thinking this is the most absurd, heartbreaking, rage-inducing situation ever? Because honestly, I don't know what to do next. And here's the kicker, Greg's wife doesn't know. Yet. Betrayal boss story. Hey Reddit. Back again with the promised update. A lot has happened since my last post, and I honestly don't even know how to structure this because my brain is still scrambled eggs. But I'll do my best to put everything down, because if I don't, I feel like I'm going to explode. So, quick recap for anyone stumbling on this without context. I, 28M, caught my girlfriend of 4 years, Emily, 27F, cheating on me with my boss, Greg, 42M. In my bed. Then she had the nerve to suggest I quit my job so things wouldn't be awkward. That's where I left off. Now for the fallout. The weekend after it happened, I went full ghost mode. I stayed at my buddy Dan's apartment, ignored most of Emily's texts, and tried to wrap my head around what the hell just happened to my life. She must have sent me 50 messages in 2 days, long paragraphs about how sorry she was, begging me to come home, telling me she'd cut Greg off completely, swearing she'd never do it again. She even left a voicemail crying so hard I could barely understand her. I wanted to smash my phone against the wall. Part of me wanted to cave, to believe her, to go back to normal. But then the image of her and Greg would flash in my brain, and my stomach would flip. Normal doesn't exist anymore. Sunday night, I finally texted her, "We need to talk." We met at a coffee shop near our apartment. Neutral territory. She showed up looking like she hadn't slept in days, puffy eyes, hair in a messy bun, wearing one of my hoodies. For a second, some pathetic part of me felt bad for her. Then I remembered why we were there. The conversation was rough. Me, so? You've been screwing my boss. Her, bursting into tears, I'm so sorry, it was a mistake. Me, a mistake is forgetting to buy milk. Sleeping with my boss multiple times is not a mistake. She kept repeating the same things. It didn't mean anything, she still loved me, she was lonely, Greg made her feel wanted, blah blah blah. I sat there staring at her, feeling like I was watching some bad soap opera. She even reached for my hand at one point, and I pulled it back like her touch would burn me. Finally, I asked the question that had been gnawing at me, why him? Out of literally everyone in the world, why my boss? She looked down and whispered, because he noticed me. And he has influence. He made me feel like I mattered. I just laughed. Couldn't help it. It was either laugh or start screaming. So what, I don't notice you? I don't make you feel like you matter? She said, it wasn't about you. It was about me. I was stupid. I shook my head. You didn't just blow up us. You blew up my career too. Do you even realize that? She started crying harder. That's why I said maybe you should leave the job. We could start fresh somewhere else. And that's when I realized, she really doesn't get it. She thinks this is something we can just paint over with a fresh coat and pretend the rot underneath isn't there. Like I'd just throw away 5 years at my job because she couldn't keep her legs closed. I told her I needed space. I grabbed my coffee, walked out, and left her sobbing at the table. Cold? Maybe. But if you'd seen the look in her eyes when she realized I wasn't coming back, you'd know why I had to. Now here's where it gets messy, Greg. On Monday, I walked into the office and it felt like the air itself was thick. I couldn't look at him without seeing everything. He called me into his office mid-morning, closed the door, and started with, listen, about the other night. I cut him off, don't. Just don't. He sighed, pinched the bridge of his nose, and said, I know I screwed up. It was unprofessional, inappropriate, and I crossed a line I never should have. If you want to report me to HR, I understand. And let me tell you, for a split second, the thought of torching his career was tempting as hell. But then I remembered how office politics work. He's been here 20 years, brings in big clients. I'm a mid-level nobody. They'd probably find a way to sweep it under the rug and paint me as the problem. I told him, don't talk to me unless it's about work. Period. And walked out. Since then, he's been keeping his distance, which is the only silver lining in this dumpster fire. But here's the part one didn't see coming, Greg's wife. I wasn't planning on telling her at first. Honestly, I just wanted to crawl into a hole and disappear. But then I started thinking, why should Emily and Greg get to walk away from this with no consequences while I'm the one picking up the pieces? She deserves to know. She's married to the guy. They have kids. She's living in a lie. So I did it. I found her on Facebook, sent a message asking if we could talk, and gave her my number. She actually called me the next evening. My hands were shaking so hard I almost dropped the phone. I said, hi, this is going to sound insane, but I think you need to know something about your husband. There was this long pause, and then she said quietly, you're not the first person to tell me that. My stomach dropped. Turns out, Greg has a history. She told me he's been caught flirting with coworkers before, maybe even more than that. She suspected, but never had proof. When I told her about Emily, she didn't even sound shocked. Just tired. Like it was confirmation of something she already knew in her bones. She thanked me for being honest, said she'd handle it, and hung up. I sat there staring at my phone, wondering what kind of grenade I'd just thrown into their lives. Part of me felt guilty. Part of me felt vindicated. Mostly, I just felt empty. Meanwhile, Emily hasn't stopped trying. She showed up at Dan's apartment one night, banging on the door, begging me to talk. Dan told her to leave before he called the cops. She slipped a letter under the door, 4 pages of handwritten apologies and promises to change. I couldn't even bring myself to read it all. I shoved it in my bag and haven't touched it since. Here's the kicker though, word is starting to get around at work. I don't know who leaked it, maybe Greg's wife, maybe Emily to someone she thought she could trust, but people are looking at me differently. Whispering when I walk past. HR hasn't called me in yet, but I feel like it's only a matter of time before this blows up into something bigger. And I can't stop thinking, do I cut my losses now? Quit before I get dragged through the mud? Or do I dig in, force myself to stay, and not let them take my job on top of everything else? I don't have an answer yet. I'm stuck in limbo, watching the walls close in. Last night, I got a text from an unknown number. Just one line, "We need to talk." L. Greg's wife. And that's where I'll leave this update, because I have no idea what's about to happen next. Betrayal boss story. Hey Reddit. Back with what's probably going to be the last big update on this saga. It feels surreal typing this out because the last few weeks have been the most chaotic, exhausting, and strangely clarifying of my entire life. I'm not going to sugarcoat it, things got ugly. But there's finally a sense of closure, even if it's not the neat, storybook kind. If you haven't read my previous posts, long story short, my girlfriend of 4 years, Emily, cheated on me with my boss, Greg. I caught them in my bed. She suggested I quit my job so things wouldn't be awkward. I exposed Greg to his wife. Then, at the end of part 2, I got a text from Greg's wife, L, saying, "We need to talk." Here's how it all went down. So I agreed to meet L. We picked a diner halfway between her suburb and where I was staying. I got there early, sat in a booth, and my hands were shaking so hard I nearly spilled my coffee. When she walked in, I recognized her instantly from her Facebook photos, mid-30s, put together, the kind of woman who carries herself like she runs the room even when she's just walking into a diner. She slid into the booth across from me, looked me dead in the eye, and said, "Tell me everything." I did. All of it. From the weird behavior I noticed in Emily, to the night I walked in on them, to Greg's pathetic half-apology. I expected her to cry, or yell, or break down. But she didn't. She just sat there, stone-faced, sipping her coffee like she was listening to the weather report. When I finished, she said, "Thank you for confirming what I already knew. You're not the first. You probably won't be the last. But you might be the one that breaks the camel's back." We talked for almost 2 hours. She told me Greg had pulled this crap before, that she'd been making excuses for years, convincing herself to stay for the kids, the house, the image. But she was done. She said, "He can humiliate me, but he doesn't get to keep humiliating me." Before she left, she looked at me and said, "You should leave that company. Not because you did anything wrong, but because men like him always find a way to come out on top. Protect yourself." That line has been bouncing around my head ever since. A week later, all hell broke loose at the office. Apparently, Elle didn't just confront Greg privately, she went nuclear. She filed for separation, kicked him out of their house, and then sent an email to HR at our company detailing his behavior, naming me, naming Emily, everything. I only know because HR called me into a meeting and slid a copy of the email across the table like it was evidence in a trial. I felt like the walls were closing in. They asked me questions. How long had I known? Was I involved? Did I feel harassed? Was my job performance impacted? It was mortifying. I told them the truth. I was blindsided. I had no involvement other than being the idiot boyfriend who got cheated on, and Greg was the one who crossed professional lines. Greg got temporarily suspended pending investigation. Which, let's be real, is corporate speak for, "We'll see if this blows over." Emily, meanwhile, was freaking out. She texted me saying she'd been dragged into HR too, that everyone in the office was whispering, that people were treating her like she was the homewrecker, which, I mean, she kind of was. She begged me to meet her, said we could face it together. I didn't respond. Here's where things took an unexpected turn. Dan, my friend I've been staying with, convinced me to talk to a lawyer. Best advice I've gotten in years. The lawyer basically said, document everything. Keep records of texts, emails, conversations. If Greg tries to retaliate, if the company tries to push me out, I'll have a case. That gave me a weird sense of power I hadn't felt in weeks. At the same time, I started applying for other jobs. Not because I was ready to roll over, but because Elle's words were in my head: men like Greg find ways to land on their feet. And I don't want to be standing under him when he does. As for Emily, I finally broke the silence. Not to reconcile, but to get closure. We met one last time at the apartment, which I'm moving out of ASAP. She looked wrecked, like the weight of everything finally hit her. She started in with the same lines: "I love you, it was a mistake, I'll do anything." I stopped her. I said, "Emily, look at me. You didn't just cheat. You torched everything: our relationship, my career, my trust. You didn't just lie, you let him into our home. You let him take something from me I can't get back. And then you had the nerve to tell me to quit my job. Do you realize how insane that sounds?" She was crying, nodding, saying she knew, saying she hated herself. I told her, "Good. Sit with that. Because I'm done." Then I grabbed the last of my stuff and walked out. I didn't look back. Where does that leave me now? Greg is still suspended. Last I heard, he's staying with a buddy because Elle kicked him out for good. Emily has been radio silent since our last talk. Maybe she finally got the message. HR hasn't called me back in, which could be good or bad. And I've got a couple promising job interviews lined up. Am I okay? Honestly, no. I feel like a hollowed-out version of myself most days. I wake up angry, go to bed angry, dream about scenes I wish I could erase. But weirdly, I also feel lighter. Like I cut off a tumor that was poisoning me. I don't know what's going to happen with my career, or with Greg and his imploding marriage, or with Emily trying to piece together her life. But I know one thing: I'm done letting other people's garbage dictate mine. To everyone who's followed this saga and sent messages, thank you. I don't know if this story has a happy ending, but at least it has an ending. And for now, that's enough. End of part 3, and probably the end of this whole messed up chapter of my life.